All right, hey everyone, this is Rudy Davis. We put out so much information on so many different political prisoners that it's difficult, like when we have something really important that really needs like a breaking announcement. And so I wanted to do a live streaming video on this particular topic. It's for a man by the name of Scott Faul. Pat Shannon has written an introduction, but basically what we need to happen is Scott Faul and I have been working over the phone developing this survey. And it's, you know, when he goes before the Parole Commission, which he's been in prison 35 years. If you know anything about Scott Faul and Yori Von Kahl, they never got a fair trial, and I believe they're both innocent. It was Gordon Kahl that did the shooting that day, and it was justified. There's a lot of information and evidence. There's videos that you can watch. That's not the purpose of this. Basically, what I want you guys to know about is Scott Faul has developed a 9-question survey. I'm going to provide the link in this Facebook live stream video, and also the survey. The link is also on the very front page of yearofjubilee.com, Year of Jubilee with 1 E. And Scott Faul needs us to go take this survey, and it monitors like if your computer has taken the survey before. So you can only take it one time. So make sure you read it through and answer honestly. Now, if you're afraid of computers, you're afraid they're going to like track your IP address, well, don't do it. I mean, I'm not telling you to do anything that you wouldn't normally do, but Scott Faul is asking us, thank you, Deborah, I appreciate that, sister. I want you to take the survey. If you don't know who Scott Faul is, there's a YouTube video that you need to watch. It's called Death and Taxes, the story of Gordon Kahl. That should be probably the first thing that you do if you don't know who he is. But we've been working with Scott Faul, who has spent 35 years in prison as an innocent man. This is 9 questions that he's asking us. Keep in mind, we know there's government trolls. We know there's people who always side with the government no matter what. And they've already taken the survey and they've already answered it, you know, for the government position. But we need overwhelming response from the patriot Christian community to answer it in favor for Scott Faul's position. And you say, why does he need us to answer these questions? Every time Scott Faul goes before the Parole Commission, they always tell him that it's an endangerment to public safety, or it would disrespect the laws of the United States if they were to release him. And there's an introduction to the survey that I would like for you to read. There's a documentary, if you want to watch it, to get to know the story of Gordon Kahl a little bit more. Gordon Kahl was the most dangerous man in all of America in the year 1983. They had his story all over Phil Donahue. They made a mainstream movie about it. They tried to demonize him in the mainstream media. He was a dirt farmer who got on a Texas radio show and talked bad about the IRS. And he became United States enemy #1, and they had to kill him. And that's what they did. Not only did they kill him, they burned him, and they cut off his hands and his feet. I mean, they hated this guy, and I'm not exaggerating. So you got to watch this documentary called Death and Taxes, the story of Gordon Kahl. If you feel inclined to know more, there's another YouTube video where they interview his wife. His wife is still alive, although I'm told she's in an elderly folks home and she's getting the beginning signs of dementia. She's very old. Her name is Joan Kahl, and they interviewed her on Kingdom Identity Ministries. This is the name of the video, Kingdom Identity Ministries, The Life and Death of Gordon Kahl. Now, the reason Scott Faul needs your help is this: he's never reached out to the public that I'm aware of in 35 years. He told me not to put his voice publicly because he's afraid that if his voice goes public on the internet, that he will suffer the ramifications of the Bureau of Prison and they'll take away all his communication privileges. He also, this isn't unusual. They do the same thing with Daniel Riley. They do the same thing with other prisoners. Some prisons will allow the prisoner's voice to go out. Some prisons won't. In Scott Faul's case, they won't do it. And some prisons just ban me. But anyway, let me get to I'm going to read this introduction that Pat Shannon wrote. We're going to be on Resurrect the Republic, Tom Lacavera's radio show tomorrow from 1 to 3, and we're going to talk about this. But I'm going to put the link in the live stream video. I ask that you click on it. It goes to a place called Survey Monkey. They give me one free survey. I didn't have to pay $40 a month. So I created the survey. All of the words came from Scott Faul, and all of the words were approved by Scott Faul. And I would like for all of the patriots and the Christians that keep up with what's going on in America to simply take the survey and answer honestly. I will be able to run reports on that survey, and then I'll provide the responses of those reports, the statistics of who answered what. It actually won't be your name. It'll just be that this computer answered this way, and you only get one chance at the survey per computer. But here's what Patrick Shannon has to say as far as an introduction to the survey. On a Sunday evening, February the 13th at dusk in 1983, February 13th, 1983. World War II hero, Silver Star, 3 bronze medals, Gordon Call, 63, was ambushed without warning by half a dozen U.S. Marshals outside of Medina, North Dakota. Now, I've always wondered whether you call it Medina or Medina, but Scott Faul confirmed to me the proper pronunciation is Medina. Following 9 minutes of Marshals screaming obscenities, they were screaming obscenities at this Christian family. And if you know Gordon Call, you'll know how righteous he was, and he tried to do what's right as a patriot and as a Christian. He loved his Bible. They screamed obscenities at him. A shot rang out, gravely wounding his son, Yori Von Call. Matter of fact, there was a gun that Yori Von Call had in his pocket. They shot at him, and the bullets from the shotgun were protected from going through his heart by it hit the handle of the gun. It's very similar to a Jeffrey Winehouse situation. Gordon Call, seeing his son hit with a shotgun blast, Gordon retaliated by killing 2 marshals and wounding 3 others. I heard that Gordon Call ricocheted a bullet underneath a car to hit a marshal on the other side of the car. They just shot his son. What do you expect Gordon Call to do? You really got to watch this documentary called Death and Taxes. But Gordon Call was a World War II hero. He had shot guns his whole life. I mean, he was a crack shot with a gun. There ain't nobody that disputes Gordon Call knew how to use a rifle and was very, very good at it. So after they shot his son, this is on February 13th, 1983, Gordon retaliated by killing 2 U.S. Marshals and wounding 3 others. He single-handedly disarmed the wounded officers, took his near-death son to the nearby Jamestown Hospital, dropped off Scott Faul. Now, the survey is for Scott Faul. Scott Faul has been in prison 35 years. He would like to have his freedom in the later years of his life. Do you know that when he initially was thrown in prison in 1983, they told Scott Faul that he would be released in 2013? And when 2013 came around, they say, well, why don't you just continue to stay in prison until you expire? So Gordon Faul dropped off Scott Faul at a neighbor's farm and began to make his way south on U.S. Highway 71 towards Kansas City. Scott turned himself in the next evening. They didn't even have to go hunt down Scott Faul. Scott Faul turned himself in willingly. He thought he would get a fair day in trial, and he knew that Gordon Call is the one who did all the shooting. Despite the fact that 2 U.S. Marshals had been killed by Gordon, was undisputed. The semi-recovered Yori, who was 22 years old, and friend Scott, who was 28 years old, were both convicted for aiding and abetting second-degree murder at the end of May in 1983. Each drew a life sentence. On June the 3rd, following a tip, 45 FBI agents and U.S. Marshals attacked the remote hovel in rural northeast Arkansas where Gordon Call had been staying. Instead of arresting the unarmed Gordon Call as he sat watching the 6 o'clock news, U.S. Marshal James Hall shot him execution style through the head at point-blank range. In the survey that I want to leave for you guys, Scott Faul is appealing to the public for your opinions and your request. He wants you to answer these 9 questions. It'll literally take you less than 5 minutes. He's been in prison 35 years. Now, if you don't know who Scott Faul is, you got to watch a movie called Death and Taxes, which will bring you up to speed. Death and Taxes, the story of Gordon Call. Or you can look for a interview of Gordon Call's widow, who's still alive today, but she's going through dementia in an elderly folks' home. look for the YouTube video called Kingdom Identity Ministries, The Life and Death of Gordon Call. And they interview his widow. Now, tomorrow on Resurrect the Republic, I'm going to be interviewing a man by the name of Pat Shannon. He runs a website called anyworldreport.com, and we're going to talk for a great deal about the details of the life and death of Gordon Call. Keep in mind, he was enemy number one in 1983, and the United States government, the corporate United States government, hated Gordon Call with a passion. He was a war hero. He was a crack shot with a gun. He was a dirt farmer. He did not owe any taxes, and he was brave enough to get on a radio and speak the truth. And not only did they kill him execution style, they cut off his hands and his feet, and they put a mattress over his body and they burned it. And they showered the house that he was in with thousands of rounds of ammunition. They hated Gordon Call with a passion. But even though Gordon Call has gone on to the hereafter, and I believe the Lord is very pleased with the life and death of the life of Gordon Call, his friend Scott Faul never got a fair day in trial, and he's been in prison 35 years up until this very day, along with his son Yori Von Call. The purpose of this video, I'm going to put the link to the survey. Please read the survey and answer honestly. We know there's going to be some traitors that will also take the survey, and I can't weed those out. I don't want to weed those out. We're going to give a fair accounting of the proper answers, not the proper, but we're going to give a fair accounting of the statistical responses to the survey. And if most people side against Scott, well then so be it. We live in Sodom and Gomorrah. But I'm hoping enough people will be brave enough to go to this link. It's on yearofjubilee.com. It's right on the front of the webpage. It's called the Scott Faul Survey for Parole Commission Board. Please go to the survey, pass it out to all your friends, and Scott Faul is depending on us and to pass it out and to get everybody to answer the questions. Answer the questions honestly on what you believe, and we'll report the statistics back to Scott Faul, who's been in prison 35 years. Thank you for your time. As soon as this video gets uploaded on Facebook, I'll put the link, and we'll make sure that you have the link. If you don't want to wait for that, go to Year of Jubilee with one E, yearofjubilee.com. The very front page, there's a button right at the very top, Scott Faul Parole Commission Survey. You can go straight to the survey and you can read about it and you can answer questions for Scott Faul. I hope you take the time to do what Scott is asking us to do. He is a strong brother in the Lord. I can tell you all my communications with Scott. He's a strong Christian brother, loves the Lord Jesus Christ. He loves the Word of God, and he needs us now. He's asking us to fill out that survey. He worked a long time developing the questions to that survey, and I hope you take the time to fill it out. Thank you again. God bless. Have a great day.